example, if you wanted to and had email information on this person, double-click on that option and send an email right from this interface. You can also go ahead and highlight an individual and view, the directory item in detail, information that you have on this person. And, you can also, if it's an Outlook contact, go ahead and view the information from the Outlook contact and make changes and updates to your Outlook information. Questions on the directory? Okay? History is a very interesting tab, excuse me, in that the history viewer actually lists the last 1,000 interactions through your extension. Once you've reached your 1,000 plus first interaction, the oldest call falls off your history viewer. Notice that your history viewer contains calls that you placed to someone, calls that were from someone to you, calls that you were either transferred to you or you transferred to somebody else, and calls that you missed. Right-clicking in this area, notice that you can group your history viewer in buckets of to, from, transferred, missed. You can choose which columns you want to add. And your history viewer also can contain call notes, and so you can set it up so that, the column is as wide as whatever the text note is. You can also, right-clicking, delete an individual record in your history viewer. You can clear your history, or you can export your history viewer. Remember, when you're exporting, it's, however, only exporting what is in the history viewer at that moment. The minute the next call comes in, of course, the information changes. The other thing about exporting history is that if you have Excel on your desktop, it automatically exports it to that Excel format. Notice also that you can, from here, highlight somebody and open up that contacts viewer, make changes, adds or deletions to your Outlook contacts. Notice also that, if you have email on that person, you can send an email right from this particular window. You can also highlight a call and notice that there is a properties. And what this does is it opens up information or call details on that particular call. And let's go look at this one instead. And so what happens is that it tells you how the call came in, so forth and so on, and who the call or where the call has been. As I mentioned, you can also go ahead and add a call note to a call as simply as going into your history viewer, right-clicking under properties. Notice that there is a call note, and, you can add whatever call note you want, either while the call is active or after the call in your history viewer. And as you'll notice, I can't walk and talk and type at the same time. And once you click OK, notice what happens is the call is now attached to this particular incident or instance, and it is transferred. If you transfer this call to somebody else, the call note travels with them. So questions on the history viewer?
What happens if you check that edit the call note directly box? Does that mean you can just edit it right on the screen you're at right now?
I can go ahead and go to the properties and I can go ahead then and edit it right from the screen. Okay? Or anybody else who gets this particular call note can also edit it. Okay? And I think I had a question. Let's see. Did I have a question? Does Communicator have to open before the record will save? Yes. So in other words, you need to have your Communicator active. Okay? All right. So let's talk about, if there aren't any other questions, talk about voicemail. So you can retrieve your voicemail, remember, through your telephone by clicking on or pressing the voicemail button. You also know that you have unheard voicemail messages because the red light on the right-hand corner, top corner of your phone is blinking. Also, your LED screen will display how many unheard voicemail messages you have. You can also retrieve your voicemail messages through ShoreTel Communicator through this voicemail tab. It'll tell you here how many unheard voicemail messages you have. At the same time, it'll also tell you how many unheard voicemail messages you have here. Unheard voicemail messages appear bolded in your inbox. So obviously, I've listened to this message from Todd before. But right from this interface, using my headset, handset, speakerphone, or soft phone, I can double-click on that message and actually listen to that message. Once the message is complete, I can reply. I can forward the call. Simple reply, again, is just clicking on reply. And notice I get my prompt recorder like I did before. I can press the record button, and now once I hear the system beep, I can record my reply to this voicemail. I can stop the recording. I can re-record, and I can go ahead and send my message. Forwarding is very similar. However, in this case, it's prompting me whom do I want to forward the call or this message to. And again, I can go ahead and type in a name or a number, and members of my ShoreTel community appear, and I can create, create a message or an introduction to the voicemail. I can also, if I'm tired of playing telephone tag, another way of placing an outbound call is to go ahead and highlight the person, and notice if I have call information, I can click on contact sender, and the system places the call for me. I can also create new messages by simply typing in the person that I want to send the message to and using my prompt recorder to record the message. I can delete messages. They'll go into my deleted inbox. Voicemail messages in ShoreTel Communicator are deleted at 2 a.m., and so you might delete in the afternoon and find that deleted message there for a while. As long as it doesn't disappear from your deleted box, you can always put it in your saved messages or in your inbox or wherever you want to move it. You can save messages. Remember, the volume and length of saved messages is determined by the system administrator. You can also create distribution lists simply as clicking on New, giving your distribution list a name, and choosing people from your ShoreTel directory to add to that voicemail list. And so then rather than sending the call to an individual, you can send the call to a voicemail list that you've already created. You can also get more information or sort of a routing slip on the email, and you can also customize your toolbar as to what you want to go ahead and display on your toolbar. There is a third way that you can retrieve messages. And what that is, again, going to your options and preferences menu, opening up your options and preferences menu, and if you have Outlook, clicking on Outlook, and you'll notice that as simply as pressing the install button, you can go ahead and set up integration with your Outlook inbox. And so among your email messages, voicemail messages can appear, and you can retrieve them, listen to them, reply to them, and so forth and so on from right within Communicator. The other option why we have this menu open is that you can set up an integration with your Outlook calendar by simply pressing install. And what happens is that, once you have an entry in your Outlook calendar, the system will automatically change your status to in a meeting. Once the Outlook calendar entry ends, the system will automatically change you back to standard call handling mode. So again, another useful time-saving device. So questions on any of the windows we've talked about so far? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of additional windows you might have. Might be the call details window, which rather than giving you information, you're still going to have your routing slip available, but as you'll notice, right here, it'll give you information on the call, and you can, through this particular interface, also add a call note before you transfer a conference or whatever else other people in. You might also have a window, and that window might be your, and again, notice how when I open that window, it automatically opens a tab. You might also have a contacts window that allows you, for example, to set up your contacts and, keep an eye on what your contacts are doing, whether they're available. This contacts window is especially useful if you're going to be using chat, because you can also set up the chat status, and so you can see what the individual's chat and phone status is. So, again, one of the things that you can do, if you go to your options and preferences menu, and let's go through the ShoreTel logo, and look at options and preferences, you'll notice that under the General tab, I have something called Enable Drag and Drop Window. And what that allows me to do is to take these windows and position them in different places. So, for example, if I want my contacts window always available to me so that I can keep an eye on the location of my contacts or the status of my contacts, I can go ahead and drag it, and as you'll notice, what happens is all of these arrows pop up, and as I place my window on these arrows, you see that blue area that shows me where this particular window is going to be set. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my contacts window over here, and so at all times I can go ahead and keep an eye on my contacts. And if I have certain permissions, I can, for example, drag a caller and transfer them to my contact as simply as dragging that active call into my contacts window. You might also, we've talked about the fact that you can start Communicator when you log into Windows. We've talked about the fact that you can hide Communicator after X number of seconds if it's inactive.